Okay, so let's start from the beginning. On offense, or let's say you're on defense. First thing to tell the guy, we're defending here. This is our goal. First man, his job. Make the guy, whoever has the ball, release it into the second. Okay. Sometimes it doesn't work out that first man isn't able to release it in a way where the second man recover. So what happens then? Well, you hope to God that this guy can cover that and beat his matchup, his next matchup, which is the second man in the rotation. Okay, so then it becomes a numbers game right at that point. If first man is able to beat and land a 50 on a second, they technically have an advantage, right? If first man right here gets beat, but it lays into the second, the position's neutralized. Make sense? Does that make sense? Okay. But if first man beats first and second, well, then you're just fucked, right? Because then it's a 2v3. Right. Because the other guy, if he beats and beats, or maybe he beats him, but this guy leaves possession early, this guy's now overloaded because he's going to be out of the rotation unless he can recover a little bit, but he's going to be somewhat out of the rotation. And you can usually do some nice plays where the second links up with the third and goes for the pass. Now, if you're defending and you break out on offense, you're not going to be able to force a pass. 90% of your teams, what they will do is they don't understand that there are two stages. So first of all, any team, anybody you coach, what you have to tell them is on first, when they're breaking out on defense, when they get this clear, their second man likes to push up. They only do this if they're supporting him. Okay. So sometimes their first man will push up and then they'll like to push up like this. And so then the position shifts. It looks something like that. We've seen this before. Okay. What happens is low elo, what they'll do is they'll rotate too close and then they'll rotate out. First man is already beat, rotate out. Third man has to have this enormous job on covering both second and third. Because this guy just left his zone. He should be next up in play. So technically, it's a little mini 2v3 for a time. This guy's guaranteed to get beat, then he'll naturally get beat, and then they just get scored on.
Here's an example clip. So the second man pushed out instead of covering the front post. Now they look for a demo, and I almost got scored on because if we didn't dodge that demo, they would have scored on the bounce.
Do you get why that's happening? Do you get the logic?
Yeah. Okay, so I have a question about that.
Okay.
I'm going to print screen this, and is it all right if I do some drawing of mine?
Yeah.
Something recently told me was that there are different kind of formations for 3v3, and there's one that he called the split, where it's like a first man, or say we're attacking, it's like this, where we have someone mid, and then you have someone that's kind of making like an equilateral triangle and pushing behind like this, ready to fill either this position or this position.
Right.
And then this is the formation that he advocated for and said is like the most consistent, and it's the layering. It's the thing that you coach.
That's
we have like a first man and then a second man and like a third man here.
So that's correct. But the first drawing that you gave me is incorrect, and if he coaches that, he's just going to get fucking annihilated. We could that one right here.
Right, because this challenge doesn't have any support, right?
Like so that challenge has support from their second. Yes.
Right.
But
so then this guy overwhelms this guy. He can't beat this guy.
Right.
Then this guy rotates out. He's beat.
Right.
This guy's beat, kind of like you were saying, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah. So go back to the purple. Now their second is usually across the field. So go across the field like in the very middle, but aligned on the right. So this guy that's playing on the diagonal, that guy is looking to beat whoever's up for this play. You're seeing this guy, that guy with the purple arrow on the right side of the field here. He wants to beat whoever's next. Okay. He wants to beat whoever's next. Now the thing is where defenses could get messed up. So there's usually a guy in the diagonal, right? So the typical formation, it looks like that, right? There's a guy here, right? This guy has possession, right? So he's got a ball. We'll denote it triangle. So this is triangle. So this guy likes to go up for this play. Okay. This guy cannot because he needs to guard the wall, right? So this is why it can't. The problem that I have that I see low elo players do is that when they run a formation that's like this, when they have a guy here and they have a guy that's playing square to them and they have a guy here, this guy in the diagonal is going to get a free possession. And then it lands like a mini position where this guy's in an awkward position. Usually the pros, they're going to hit it in a way, see that they have space. And if they're just going to land the beat, they're just going to land the beat here if they can. If not, they're going to dribble it in such a way where they're going to force the beat on this guy. And this guy now is pressured to make the save on the pass that's incoming into the center.
First of all, it totally blew my mind that this coach is very well known, and if I said the name of, you would know about, and he's teaching the concept of split and why it works over to other people. And now I explained this conceptually and why it doesn't work, and you could see it come into practice here in a live coaching session we did. Actually, later in the session, we ended up, I told him, well, let me help you put this into practice. You could see right there, that is literally the exact situation that I'm talking about, where the pass down comes in and you have to threaten that. That should have been a goal. And it blew my mind that there's a professional coach out there that's teaching that.
You get how that play developed? You know, because their formation is like this, right? And they want to drop it. They want to drop it, or it's more like this, and this guy's here because this is the first man who's now rotating out, and the second links up with the third technically, and so that's where this is really difficult because now the second man needs to both mark this. But then they got to make sure that this is marked. But usually in the if the team is not on top of their shit and understanding the responsibilities here, they're going to double commit or they're going to get annihilated. And so that's why if you're running a square play, it doesn't really make sense. Why have somebody run square when you can run him on a diagonal right here and he could be there to match this guy? Or if he just wants to go for it, this guy, let him have his temper tantrum because there's no threat.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Because if this guy wants to just rotate here and then rotate out, you know, now this guy's got that massive job, and then it turns into that quandary. This guy lands that thing, they want to put it center. You get what I mean? That's why it doesn't work. That's I don't know how good of a coach. But if he teaches that, and I know he's taught this to other coaches, and then they what they do is they try to teach that this guy needs to run square, and that this second man, rather than covering sideline, which isn't what the pros do, that this guy needs to rotate out, and then now all of a sudden on offense, right, now that this third man that's right here has to beat the guy that's on the fucking diagonal right here, and somehow land a 50 against here. In order to neutralize the position.
Could you break that down a little slower, draw?
Oh yeah, okay. So they got
numbers.
Yeah. So they got 1, and technically it's like 2/3, depending on how the zone develops. It's 2/3. Because this guy is technically left side zone of responsibility, and this guy is midfield and right side zone of responsibility. Make sense?
And this is rotating into left.
So this is the defensive posture. I'm going to draw offense now. Now, offense has a position that's like this, 2, 3. The problem I have is people, and if judge this, it is totally wrong. It is wrong. It is wrong. It is not, it is just like the problem I have with Rocket League right now, that when I go to work and I imagine people doing this shit, I literally cringe. Dude, I literally cringe because there's people out there that really believe that this is the right way to do this, dude. And it's so not true, because when you're running with your first man, the pass doesn't come from first to second. How easy is it for this guy to handle that drop right here, right? Versus handling the drop across the field, right? That's different, right? When second goes to third, because what's going to happen is the play develops. The play develops in such a way that this first man is going to rotate out. So it's going to move like this. Now, the first man is going to be something like this. Second is going to be here. Third is here. All they did was just shift it. Everybody just shifted a little bit like that. Make sense?
Right.
You know? That's all that happened. It was just, picture like a 90-degree turn. Now we're here, okay? And the pass happens from here to here. This is where the magic is, okay?
And the one gets demos, and then that's like the perfect play in my mind.
Well, it's the perfect play, yes, but it's the perfect play because what happens is this pass comes from into this guy who's not here, but behind the defender. He can't mark that space, so you need this guy on defense to do that. So this is why it doesn't work, because the second man can easily shut that shit down. I did this. I did it with. That's his name. You know, was taught by to run this offense, and Forged was like, oh yeah, he was coached. He's going to be great. And I was like, do not pick up this guy because he does this mistake. And they're like, no, you don't want to, you're like, don't get involved, Loosh. Don't get involved, Strange. You know? But I'm like, dude, he does this problem. This does not work because this gets shut down all fucking day, right? The angle is steeper. You need it behind him. Now you need this guy in order to make that to happen. So this is why that this does not work. And that's why that running the second man square does not work. And also why the first stage on defense when you're pushing out is to spread out, because you're not going to be able to, you can't shove your second man like close like this. You can't make it close. If you make it close, how is he going to drop this? Second man is just going to fucking beat him. How many times have we seen this in our ranked games? The guy wants to drop it close. The front post defender just fucking nails him. Now this guy out of position, the third man has to land a solid 50 past him, and now he's up against 2 defenders because this guy's now out of the rotation and there's 2 people back because this guy will have rotated, in probably, and this guy's going to be here. See what I mean? So now it's a 1v2, and then there's nothing that can materialize, and now you're in a fucking quandary. You just lose the offense. Am I making sense? Do I make sense? Please interrupt me. Please interrupt me.